letting go for a moment our thoughts and ideas and feelings about our lives as being a human. And let's put our attention on who and what we are that isn't identified as human. Yeah, we're just opening up to ourselves, our undefined aspects that we haven't been noticing. So it comes down to a choice to say, yes, I'm open. And I'm willing to be aware of all the things that I should be aware of, that I haven't been paying attention to. And that includes my own wholeness, being the foundational aspect of my human consciousness here. Yeah, so an eye exercise you can do that will cause this to happen fairly quickly for you is one that Carlos Castaneda said was the warrior's walk. And there's other traditions in Gnostic Christianity, let thy eye be single, and ye should be filled with light, is what Christ said. And what that means is, visually, the warrior awareness is aware everywhere simultaneously. They're not focused on one thing while there's 10 deadly things here focused on him. He's open and the consciousness that he's operating from is one where he's choosing to be aware of every aspect of reality that's important in this conflict that he's in, so that he can be successful. And it's the same type of thing that I've heard on a police show where the guy said, hey, I got the feeling, and the car came up and, I just knew, so, and that one was sincere. There's, when you're paying attention, if you're a protector and you're paying attention for everybody, then you're operating at a level of wholeness that begins to transform your reality. We've all got issues and problems, and we're suffering in our own ways. But if you're going to suffer, you're supposed to divinely suffer, which means you don't go unconscious to your suffering. You're fully present and paying attention to every other aspect of reality at the same time. So that the presence, the consciousness that you embody yourself with is one of clarity and integrated in, all of the wisdom that's available to it. It just, when it's right, and you allow your reality to shift with each new realization that you have of, oh, okay, now at this level of consciousness, here's who I show up as. And so you're never trying to improve yourself. The improvement happens automatically when you choose to perceive reality through your wholeness as a foundational consciousness. And you can practice that by doing that warrior's walk. And it's not, doesn't even have to be a walk, but it's the opposite of what they taught you when you first learned about meditation and focusing on one single point. You're focused on everything. So I am now aware of what's here on the back wall, the three of you, and then now I'm including my hearing perceptions, the noises outside. So if you just sit with your eyes open, seeing everything near and far, up and down, left and right simultaneously, every pixel of that vision that you have is equally prioritized. And feel how the energy shifts in your body. Blockages that you didn't know what to do with before, now we're exiting on their own. Because if you take a step, if you take that quantum leap, now see, if I look at you, I'm making sure that even though I'm looking in your eyes, I'm aware of everything else visually at the same time. So that'll bring you to the doorway of your wholeness. Then you just have to notice and keep noticing. And let that be the engine of your transformation. The conductor, the engineer. And the wisdom of it all, just, okay. Allow your wholeness to just be present to every fragmented consciousness that you have in your body. And this way you put Humpty back together again in terms of a body that can embody, that can be clean enough, because it's not judging anything, anywhere, at any time. And now, that's the invitation to notice the divine that's always been here with us. Now we can perceive it. And we can surrender everything we've been carrying. Everything that we feel, everything that we think, all of our programming, all of our memories. Everything gets to experience that shift into freedom and unity, cosmic consciousness, oneness, whatever way you like to explain it to yourself. that space where you awaken enough to truly begin to love your own life. And for me, that's been a difficult one. But I'm closer now than I ever have been. Now I know I have one job. As long as I'm David, I have one job, and that's to surrender. And allow the universe to move as it chooses. And in that allowance, it chooses you to be a place where universal presence, can clearly be observed by the rest of reality. The question, I guess, is how far do you want to go? How real do you want to be? How much of your authentic essence, whatever it is that moves through time and space and fills all time and space. But right here, right now, what would happen to you if you noticed the totality of who and what you are as a being? While being identified as the body, the name, the history. What happens when the transcendent becomes a part of the egoic you? Well, once you've opened into experiencing any aspect of the divine, that thing that you could say loves unconditionally, as soon as that finds a place in any art, in any part of you, it's just going to grow. So allow things to shift for you. Allow your noticing of the divine within the trauma of life, within your own pain and suffering that you experience when you just really feel what it is to be you here. So just stay in your wholeness as you experience this suffering and the traumas. There, now you can begin to relax about them. Because all of them now are just memories anyway. There's no shared current experience of reality with all of your past traumas here and now. You're in a safe space. You're with people who wish the best for you. And feel that. Feel your own choice to wish the best for the rest of the people here. And notice how as soon as you do that, it's instantly reciprocated. That's how you control reality. It's by blessing everybody that you meet with your experiencing them in your wholeness, while instead of focusing on who they're pretending to be, you're experiencing the wholeness of the other person, which is an irresistible invitation for them to wake up while they're interacting with you. To be at their best. And I know that's all a bit abstract, and it's not, to educate or remember. It's to take this moment right now and taste your freedom. Notice those traumas from a divine self-awareness. Or if you need to, you could just notice the creator consciousness that permeates every atom of the universe, permeates all of the atoms in your body. And so you just open to noticing that, so that everywhere that you're in pain and suffering, you're noticing God consciousness there as well. When the two are perceived simultaneously, then the contextual truths of life move into a harmonic resonance with the eternal, and that's how the conflicts are resolved. By both sides waking up. Moving back into experience of themselves that let's just say is, some could say it's transcendent. So, if that's a choice, under what circumstances would we make it? And why do we consider it such an important thing to be very, very careful with how much we awaken, because we lose our previous identities. Our sense of self moves closer and closer to what's authentic instead of the stories of our lives. And it's okay for you to experience yourself as the story of your life. It's temporary. You're not fighting. You're just noticing that that's how you experience yourself. Your name, your family, your religion, your friends, your country, your heritage. But it doesn't matter how you've limited yourself and the things that you've aligned yourself with, or the things that you've opposed. It only matters now that you notice the divine in the temple of you. Yeah, there's a lot to let go of. And for me, it seems like I have to experience every aspect of it before I've comprehended enough to be able to embrace it and let it go simultaneously. So we're both free. But it's not a skill that you learn. However, on the other hand, it might be the best skill to learn, and that is simply that all these things that we've been running away from, our bad memories, our bad emotions, our traumas and failures, every time we were ever victimized, Notice creator consciousness was there all the time, regardless of the motions of reality. And if you notice it now, then the trauma of then that you've been carrying with you can dissipate. Yeah, you can begin to have some cathartic relief. Trusting yourself enough to allow everything else to flow. Without ever being knocked off your foundational experience of yourself as a wholeness, as a oneness, as something that love is life, all life. And when we remember that actually, at our best, we actually don't condemn anyone. Because the moment we begin to take sides, then we've lost our divine truth. It's no longer an aspect of our experience of ourselves. And that freedom, that enlightenment, that inner peace and joy only come from each of our own truths being free within your experience of yourself. If you're not feeling free, then you've shut off a divine aspect of yourself in terms of what you're paying attention to, you know? Yeah, reconnect your experience of self with the experience of heaven. And I'm not talking about a heavily created heaven that's designed to deceive, but actually a transcendent experience of universal love, heaven. So you notice that you just, in that stillness, in that noticing, and you're noticing within and without at the same time, just as visually you're taking everything in, inside your own body you're taking everything in too, both at the same time. The focus is on both. It's the same warrior focus. You're open to everything that increases your wisdom and understanding and effectiveness and realization of all the truths that set people free. So what aspect of you transcends this reality? What will still permeate the universe when your body's dead? Who will you be when the body's gone? More importantly, how quickly are you going to open up when you die to your eternal awareness of everything that you've ever been? Because I've begun to be suspicious of the mechanisms on the other side that lead one to believe they need to learn lessons here and a need to balance out the karma of a past life with a new one. I call bullshit on that. And it's real obvious why. Who here truly is free and isn't a prisoner of their own belief systems, their own feelings, their own sense of self? That they know that they wish they were enlightened, they wish they really knew anything about anything, really. But they know that they don't, and we're doing the best that we can, but that's not what gets to be in charge. Where you're suffering, surrender. Notice the divine suffering right there with you. And the divine is really enjoying the suffering. It's weird. Because I think that's because when you live in a disembodied state and it's just consciousness and you're in your power and wisdom, then it seems like you could experience anything that you wanted at any moment instantaneously, and that would get pretty boring. And what isn't boring is coming here and getting stuck and knocked unconscious in a body and experiencing what it is to truly be limited and truly suffer, and truly live and die, and yet have glimpses where you know that this is all unnecessary. And if it's unnecessary, you don't have to decide it for the world. All you have to do is decide it for yourself. Is it necessary for you to continue to condemn yourself to the opinions of others as being defining upon your experience of yourself and who and what you are? You can let that go, because you know everyone that condemns you has no idea who they are themselves. And so the only thing that's happening is some actor in a movie on the TV screen is spouting an opinion that is just a script. It's not real. It's entirely fabricated. It's all pretense. So, how much would you have to awaken to stay awake to the silliness of all the pretense, but where you can move wisely, regardless of whatever anyone else chooses, you can still do as you choose, because reality that surrounds your body. So let's be present in all of it by letting go of everything that can't. Everything that says it can't be whole, it can't be true, it can't be real, it can't be love. That's not you, that's just some sort of pretense. So you can just let it go. And in letting go of that, now you're opened up. And free-flowing energy and consciousness beginning to have a place in you. Just be okay with that. Be okay that your database is universal and eternal. And you're open to all of that all the time. Live in polarity, and so your benefit is everybody's benefit. So the authentic you. What if you suddenly, just right now, oh, I'm back. The authentic me. I'd like to stay here for a while. Clean house. Yeah, what if that you that you've experienced in peak states, a lot of people experience some marvelous things on ayahuasca and magic mushrooms and LSD, I guess. Open up to them again right now. You don't need the structure of what led you there before. You've experienced the truth. You already know the way now. You just let it happen. Stop stopping. Stop being the block. Let that kingdom of heaven that Christ spoke about, I know you're not Christian, but allow him to be right about something anyway. And that the kingdom of heaven lies within you. Now, you've already begun to notice that here it is. Not something that you're seeking anymore, something you've found. So embrace it, explore it. Allow every aspect of suffering to experience it. Yeah. Choosing your truth is what saves you. Opening, receiving, understanding, opening more, receiving more, understanding more and more, staying in the opening. Each new thing that comes up, you open more. At any rate, I'm not sure why I went so deep into all that, because all in all, we're most interested in how we can improve our lives this week and next month. And how do we do that? Well, it's not by doing, again, it's by realization. Making the answer to that real for you. By your asking the question, opening, and staying open until you receive the answer. And then allowing the answer to reformat the totality of, what your reference is for yourself and for reality. Each new aspect of truth that you encounter, you have to allow it to change you and to re-educate everything that you experience yourself to be. Because it seems like we've been created on so many different levels, so many different dimensions, so many different realities, that the only solution is to return to an experience of self that's superior to polarized reality, that's superior to the universe, the creator consciousness. It gives a place for reality to be. And then somehow, whatever our consciousness is, individuates. And you're you, I'm me. And how do we make it better? How do we shift a lifetime of habits? The only way is awakening. Awakening into a more authentic realization of you. A freer, more expanded, more loving, not more loving, but noticing that love is a foundational truth of you. When you're not experiencing it, then you're living in a story instead of actuality. It seems like we should choose to be actualized, be what we really are, instead of pretending to be something else. And again, it's surrender into allowing it to happen. There's no books you have to read. There's no guru you have to see. All you have to do is forgive yourself enough to be able to say yes to your own realization. Simply by, you're no longer sabotaging that by damning yourself. And so I'm saying that because it's what I'm experiencing in myself. And as I So if I experience it as real and true, then it's not self-diminishing for me to state what is obvious in my experience of myself. So when I say something that seems to be demeaning about myself, it's because there's something that is way out of line, and I'm describing it. And as I describe it and take responsibility for it, then the power of its reason and purpose of existence and desire to persist as that, you know, it just fades away. So allow change to become you. Hmm. Yeah. Allow change to be you. And allow change to include more wisdom, more joy, more love, more freedom, and more wisdom as your experience of yourself. It's time for you to be the best you and me to be the best me. And that doesn't happen by condemning ourselves for the past. It comes by taking responsibility for it, being conscious to it. But what's past is past, and what's gone is gone, and what is the potential that we retain given who and what we are here in this life? What's still possible for us? Well, there's a lot that has to be moved and observed just in asking that question. What potential do you have in your life, in your wisdom? How compassionate could you still be? How creative? How joyful? And what do you have to let go of in order for that to be? You have to let go of your feeling bad for behaving badly. The truth that you stop noticing. Because then you'll be good, so to speak. You won't do destructive things to other people, except for possibly their illusions. But it's a lot of change for a body to go through. And of course it should be supported by giving it the proper nutrients and exercise and rest and all that, but the optimization doesn't happen unless the consciousness opens. So that you make that quantum leap. Back to oneness. Back to completion. So you've been prepared to be exactly you right now with everything that is troubling you. So that when you choose to make the shift into that universally eternal self-awareness, it can be real this time. You can be real. Possibly even me. So just get comfortable with being used to being in the midst of that divine storm. You be the stillness and everything else moves into motion. So if there's any part of us that is diseased and in trauma, any part of your body, your subtle bodies, what does it need to be healed, to be cleansed, to be revitalized? It's not much chemically, really not too much energetically. But there does have to be a trigger for the transformation. And that trigger is always you. It's always limited until you say yes. Yes to the whole truth of you. And receiving it in a way that's a beautiful experience instead of a dark night of the soul. You allow it to be a good, beautiful experience. Your opening, your transformation. Just allow it to be a cathartic release, from moment to moment to moment. Yeah, as soon as you feel it, it begins to release. So just a note to anybody that might watch this. Surrendering into the unknown, the unknown infinite potential for life is what we're experimenting with and what we're doing. So there's no scripting of this, and there's not even really a thought as to which direction we're going to go. We just follow, from freedom to the next blockage, and then repeat and move through that freely. And so we're here about the experience, and that's about it. And to record it and have it available for later, again, if what we're doing is valuable for us, then it might be valuable for somebody else in the future at another time. But so it's easy to record it, and it's just for that, for somebody that would need something on one of these to find it and use that as their aha moment that, okay, they're back, and they're free, and they're whole, and they're complete, and they're in their power and in their wisdom, and now can create here as a divine creator, have a beautiful life and be a beautiful influence on other lives. So that's our choice for ourselves, and moving through all of the densities and all of the self-judgments, so that could ever be experienced is, it's a monumental shift, because, we've condemned ourselves nearly completely. So it's for you too, so surrender and be free.